Okay, and here we are once again. Gonna start out with our cold open question, Derek. Question I asked you last week. Now, I had to change it just a little bit because I think what I asked you was what is the most memorable experience you had being home by yourself when you were growing up? And I realized
Yeah.
in doing this that I couldn't think of anything. anything. And
Yeah.
I think you kind of had the same
Me either.
experience. So I'm opening it up to maybe the something interesting, I guess, that happened to you when you have been home by yourself, whether it was when you were a child or when you were, as you're an adult now. So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I
put
don't,
you on the spot.
I mean, yeah, I don't have anything.
Yep.
I rack my brain. I tried thinking of things like nothing. I never threw any
Yeah.
parties. I never, like when I was younger, if my parents left me alone, I'd watch TV,
Mm-hmm.
watch a
Yep.
movie. Usually, if it involved friends, I went to their place, and we did whatever we were going to do, or we went out and we did whatever we were going to do. But generally, I mean, my parents had pretty strict, if we're not home, your friends aren't
Yeah.
coming over rule. And, I feared my parents, so I abide by that rule. I think one time I had a friend stay the night while they were away. But we just ordered pizza and stayed up watching movies and drinking sodas, like nothing
Mm-hmm.
crazy. As an adult, yeah, again, kind of, I mean, yeah, kind of the same thing. Because, if you're throwing a party, you're not really alone.
Right.
So nothing like that. I had roommates, for most of my adult life. I had roommates when I first moved out, and I had, my second roommate, and I lived with some girlfriends and another roommate, and then I think I had maybe 6 months where I lived by myself. But that was more of I kept my head down, worked, and didn't really get into any trouble.
Yeah.
So yeah, not really anything interesting. I mean, video games and movies. That was about it. It was pretty sad. I mean, if I wanted to party, I went out with friends. We went to the bar,
Yeah.
or we, went to the club or arcade or whatever.
Yep.
You know, nothing interesting ever happened at the house home alone.
Okay.
And I think that was just because, as a kid, the most interesting things in the world were not in my
Mm.
home. They were elsewhere. They were outside the house. They were somewhere else. They were at a mall. I mean, like, we grew up idolizing, going to the mall and like hanging out at movie theaters and arcades and things like that. These movies and stuff that we grew up with, things that we aspired to, none of it really revolved around being at home. It was all about going out and having an adventure. And that's kind of what we did. Like, as kids, whenever our parents went off to work, in summer when we were home alone, we roved around the neighborhood. We went out to the library, the video store, the movies. I think there were a couple arcades in town that we could go hit. Not like full blown arcades, but like a couple places that had like a arcade machine or two. And the comic book store, we'd roll around those places. But when we came back home, it was just we watch a movie, hang out. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as I was thinking about this, I thought, man, I really dropped the ball on this question because I didn't I thought it.
You're focused too much
Yeah,
on the
I
movie.
focus. I focused and I think I made it too much of a focused question that. Anyway, when I was growing up, I mean, if I was home alone, I'd be playing a video game or I'd be doing whatever. And the only thing I can remember as a kid is maybe being home alone, especially in particular at Dad's house. I'd be sitting on the couch, and for some reason, I would always look at the stairway, and I was just waiting for like a hand to come around the
Yeah.
corner, and which it never came, but
No.
thank God. But yeah, but the one thing that I can think of, and this is the reason I kind of opened it up, because it was a couple years ago, maybe a year or two after my wife and I got married. I remember I was starting to get into, like, I was reading like a bunch of true crime novels. I was just, I think a lot of people go through that stage in their lives where they're just like, oh, I gotta, like, it's really interesting to, like, whatever happened. So I'm like reading all these true crime novels, and then I was like trying to find, documentaries and stuff like that. And I got back into watching Unsolved Mysteries. And I was watching like the not the new Netflix series, but like the original, And
our house didn't come on it, did it?
no, no.
Okay.
No. But the original, with Robert Stack, and he's got that voice, and then the music, that dun, 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 it was just so creepy. And I made the mistake while Mindy and Landon and Harper so every summer in August they go to the state fair, the Missouri State Fair, and I'll go down there for like a weekend, but they're down there for like the entire week and a half that it's going on. So I was home by myself, and I made the mistake of having an Unsolved Mysteries marathon. And then when I'm getting ready to go to bed, I'm like, there's somebody at the door. Like, there's somebody in the backyard. That guy that was missing after he killed like 40 people, he's coming after me. Like, he's in the bedroom, and I can't see him, so I'd be turning the lights on and stuff. And so I ended up, like, I slept on the couch, and then I remember waking up in the morning, and I was hearing like this meh. I'm like, what is going on? Like, at first I'm thinking it was like I'm in an Unsolved Mysteries episode again or whatever. But I keep hearing it. I'm like, you come to, and you're like, oh no, that's, the sun's shining. What's going on? And I keep hearing this, and it's coming from the front door. And I get up and open up the front door, and there are two large adult-sized goats that are at the front door. And I live in, people that, like, for the listeners out there, I live like in the middle of the city, or not like the city, but like a town. I live in the middle of the town, and I've got two adult-sized goats that are just staring at me, and they're bleeding. Not bleeding. I'm sorry, bleating. Nah.
Yes.
And I'm like, what in the world? What is going on? So I like kind of open up the door and I shoo them away, and they keep coming back, and finally, one of the neighbors had called animal control. So, like, my day was these goats and me and two police officers and animal control out there trying to corral these two wild goats in my front yard. And yeah, I don't know. It was just it was a wild experience being home by myself.
That does.
Yeah. It kind of
that sounds
just
wild.
One thing kind of led into the other, and I don't know. The moral of the story.
Not a fever dream.
No, not a fever dream. The moral of the story, you can't do anything about the goats, but do not go on an Unsolved Mysteries marathon when you're home by yourself. I don't care how old you are. I was probably 30 at the time when I did this, and I was scared to death.
Haven't seen an episode since.
Exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned the old house being, having that. And I don't know what it was, if it was just that it was an old house, because I think it was built in like the 1800s. Yeah. But it definitely had something of a creep factor to it. Not like a lot, but like 10%. Like there was just like a slight, like something, like you'd hear a little sound, or it definitely would, as a child, it gave off some eerie vibes, especially at night from time to time. And the sound of the train horn going by in the middle of the night was like a relief, because it kind of broke that tension for me. And I remember falling asleep to that sound, because in that moment I would feel a little more at ease. And if I had been woken up in the middle of the night, I'd usually stay up and worry for whatever had freaked me out until I hear that train sound, and then I could usually fall back asleep as it rolled by. But yeah, something about it. And then maybe it's just our, being a kid and, like growing up, there were movies like Poltergeist and House and stuff like that were set in old creepy home that made. I mean, there was the Amityville Horror, all about a house that was haunted, like possessed or whatever. They made houses creepy, and I think it just translated, just permeated into us. And I'm sure if we were in a new build house, would have felt the same way. Still would have felt creepy. I'm sure.
Yeah, when you're a kid, I think like that when you're
mystery.
Yeah, it's a mystery. You're home by yourself, and you hear, like, as an adult, you hear like sounds and stuff. You're like, okay, like that's the house settling. Like literally, that is the house settling. Like as a kid, you don't know that. Like, what's that? What's that creak?
Yeah.
There is a ghost in this house. It's, I don't know. But it was, at Dad's house, to me, it was always the basement. Was like I'd go down there, like,
oh yeah, that's creepy.
And I'd be down there.
It's still creepy.
Oh, it is. When we were down there, I don't know, a couple months ago, like when I'm going up, I'm like almost running up the stairs. Like, what's down here?
I don't want to be the last.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's definitely got a little basements in general.
Yeah.
If they're not finished out, if it doesn't look like the top of the house. It's just creepy, period. It sends that creep factor to you. And like you said, it's just houses. Even like this house that we live in now is relatively new. We bought it new. It's only 4 years old or whatever. And from day one until probably recently, it stopped. Every time the wind would blow in our bedroom, the owner's suite or whatever you want to call it, it sounded like you were in the hull of a ship. Like you're silently in the hull of a ship, and you kind of got that like creak of the wood going back and forth. And we had that in one of the walls. Whoa. Like there was a joint that would like give off that creak, and it was just like that slow, achy creak, rocking back and forth every time the wind blew. We get that, and it was just kind of weird. I mean, I knew exactly what it was. It's the wood, just like they didn't whenever they framed out the house, something wasn't completely true or shored up the right way, and or maybe it's just like a blocker board or something that doesn't need to be, but whatever it was. And like I said, eventually it stopped. I think it finally like wore out, or I don't know, whatever reason it stopped. Maybe the ghost went away, who knows. But still, it was kind of creepy.
Definitely. All right, we're going to roll into our show here. If you've got any wild experiences, let us know in the comments. I always love reading stuff like that. Like, there's a couple of Reddit threads that I'm on that I would just like to read people's like weird stories of just things that have happened to them. But I don't know. Anyway, who knows if they're it's Reddit. Who knows if they're real or not? But anyway, throw any of your stories, your memorable experiences from being home by yourself in the comments. We'd love to read them. And with that, we will roll the intro, and we will be right back.
That's right. Your local video store card.
A comic book in your back pocket.
Games with no tutorials.
Music you had to discover.
And drinking water straight from the hose.
These are the things us millennials remember fondly. We are the Jennings brothers.
Join us after the streetlights come on
as we race our bikes from the top of the hill
right down memory lane.
Exchange those quarters, because this podcast takes tokens.
Oh, hey, Harper. Where's your dad?
I don't know.
Did they leave you home alone? Oh, I hope not.
We're here.
We're here. That's our fun little intro for the Home Alone episode. We had one of our biggest fans wanted to join us, so we thought we'd have her on.
Yeah. This is my daughter, Harper. So, what you love Home Alone, don't you?
Yes, it's my favorite movie.
It is. What's your favorite scene from Home Alone?
It's when Harry opens the door and just lets his head get blowtorched.
That's a pretty good one.
Yes.
That's a pretty solid one. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite character?
Yes, it's Kevin.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Would you ever want to be left home alone?
No. But if I was, I'd be ready.
You'd be ready? You got a plan?
Yes.
All right.
You got anything else you want to say about Home Alone? No. That's
all
okay.
right.
Thanks for being on.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Okay, and with that, cat's out of the bag. We are going to be discussing Home Alone. Christmas is right around the corner, coming up next week. And, yeah, we are... we're going to discuss this classic Christmas movie, right?
Classic. I think this is might be... I don't know. This isn't the first classic Christmas movie, but it's certainly like redefined what a Christmas movie should be.
Absolutely. Released November 16th, 1990. So it's in the Christmas season. It's right there. Of course, another John Hughes movie. Do I really even need to get into who the actors are in this? Macaulay Culkin, Catherine O'Hara.
People might not know him.
Yeah. That's true. Joe Pesci and golly, I didn't think I needed to write his name down. Now I can't remember what it was.
Marv.
What was?
Yeah, Daniel Stern.
That's it. I should know that because I'm a big Wonder Years fan. He did the voice of Kevin in the Wonder Years. But yeah, I mean,
narration. Yeah.
Marv steals the show, I think, in this. I think he's so funny in it. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Well, him and Pesci together, the two of them. Yeah,
perfect. They play off each other so well. Pesci does so good in a comedic role. Like, he can do both. As like, Goodfellas. He's so good in Goodfellas and Casino and... but then My Cousin Vinny, I was going to say that.
Another comedic role?
Yeah. My Cousin Vinny's so funny. We'll have to do an episode on My Cousin Vinny. My Cousin Vinny.
Absolutely.
But we're doing one on Home Alone right now. Run down a couple things. Would you believe if I told you that this movie, I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes. I was just curious. Audience score of 80%. Respectable 80%, although I thought it would be higher.
I believe it.
Critics score for this 66%. Yeah, I
wonder if that's like well, I mean, they take into account so many different like sites now.
Sure.
Like just about any review. Like I think if we started a blog off of every movie that we do and reviewed them and posted that, it would count on Rotten Tomatoes, I'm sure. Yeah, after so long, any review site can get, they get to weigh in on that. It gets calculated because I think that's the whole backbone of Rotten Tomatoes is it's an aggregate of all the reviews that are posted. It's basically a giant search engine for just reviews and kind of consolidates them, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't spent a lot of time on Rotten Tomatoes, I'll be honest.
I used to go to it a lot, and anymore I don't really do it so much. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to like reviews on things too much because I like to just experience it for myself, and I'm like, okay. Like I don't like to have a jaded opinion on something before I, go into it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's me. We were talking though, I think when we did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, we were wondering like what the highest grossing John Hughes film was, and we suspected it was this, and I'm sure it is. But the budget on this, $18 million. Okay, $18 million was originally $10 million. And
he
went
over.
way over budget. Yeah. Any guess on what it earned?
Oh, initial box office, I'm guessing 300 million.
So I'm assuming this is counting all that in. I've got anyway earned. What I found was $476 million. So
Okay. And it's been re-released in theaters a few times,
Yeah.
but I can't imagine that made like a huge difference in that total gross. But yeah, like that sounds about right.
Yeah.
To what
I mean,
think.
this was huge when it came out. Massive, massive movie.
Yeah.
I mean, such an impact
Yeah.
on pop culture. Just even
Instantly.
today,
Yeah.
like what was it last year or 2 years ago, where they was it T-Mobile or something that ended up having, I can't remember what the company was. They ended up having an adult Macaulay Culkin come back and play and reprise.
Oh
his
yeah,
role.
reprise his role. I thought it was a home
that
Simply
was it.
Safe or
That
something
was
like
it.
that,
Yep.
wasn't it? Yeah, yeah, because it was like all about
Yeah.
security,
Yeah.
which is ironic because later on the Disney redid the Home Alone movie, and off to the side, I guess, wrote it that Kevin grew up to start a home security firm, and because his brother Buzz makes a cameo in the movie as a security guard working for McCallister Security,
Okay.
and so he grows up and like he makes some comment or quip about his brother owning the company or something like that, and so it's that Kevin grew up to start a home security company, which makes sense. I mean, the movie wasn't great, but it
I
makes
didn't watch
sense.
it. I don't anything after 2. I'm like,
No, not worth it.
Like I don't know. Once you take Daniel Stern, Joe Pesci, and Macaulay Culkin out of the picture, I'm like,
Yeah.
why? Like I don't need to see more of this. And I didn't really. So the new one was a remake, or
It was a reboot, I guess, because it seems like it's set in the same universe as the first two. Because there's the whole McCallister security thing, but it was about on par with like the fourth one. It was very
bad.
kind of cheesy, over the top. Yeah, like it was like it's almost as if the ones after 2, like 3, 4. I think there's a 5th one, and then this other new one. They seem very much so like they let the producers of America's Funniest Home Videos direct these movies. And they're just like, how many times can we hit dad in the crotch with a baseball bat, and, grandma can lose her dentures, like whatever wacky garbage that they can just like low-hanging fruit churn out. And that's what they seem like to me.
That's
They just,
funny.
it's an AFV movie. It's not, they're not worth it.
Wow. That's like that's a review that needs to be on Rotten Tomatoes. Like that. that's probably the best worst review I've ever heard of.
That's what we're here
it.
for.
That's it. Oh man. Yeah, so I mean, your family's probably like ours, like mine. Like we watch this every year.
This is an annual tradition.
Yeah.
Every Thanksgiving, I think. Usually around Thanksgiving. Well, this is like one of the first ones to watch. Or we save it for Christmas and watch it Christmas Day. But I think this year that's going to be Elf. If we don't watch it sooner. It's for
My
another
own
time.
opinions on that movie. But yeah, gosh, it's good as always. Good as always. But the big question I had, like I'm watching this again, and always new things come up in my head every time I watch it. Why? How? Both. How and why is this family putting up with Uncle Frank?
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah. Like, Jesus. You would think he was footing the bill and everything, but he's over there pocketing salt shakers on the airplane because he's cheap.
Like, he's not paying for a thing. He's a jerk to everybody.
He brings nothing to the table.
And he's.
I would like to know. What
Oh
he
my
brings.
gosh! What is this?
Is he Is he her brother or his brother?
I think it's his brother, if I remember right.
Or is he the in-law and it's their sisters?
No, I think that
I think they're sisters.
Is it? Maybe it is.
I think that Catherine O'Hara and the aunt or sisters is what it is.
No, wait a minute.
And he's married into it.
No,
that would explain why they put up
could
with
be, but no, it's not. I think because what's Kevin's dad's name? I can't remember. Anyway, he talks about Peter. He talks about with, I think, Joe Pesci in the beginning, because he shows up as a police officer, asks him where they're going. He said, "Well, I'm going to France," and he said, "My brother is flying us all out." Yeah. So I would assume that his brother probably wouldn't be flying out Frank and his wife if they were Catherine O'Hara's.
I don't know. Maybe if they're all close, the families kind of mingle and stuff. I mean, like there are lots of families like that where like the in-laws become friends after the fact. I don't know any of them personally.
Yeah.
But we do have some friends in our friend group where we've become, I'd say, friends with their parents.
Oh, okay.
Like we have a set of friends that their parents are kind of like unofficial parents of the whole group, and we all know them, and we go hang out at their place. And we'll play cards or whatever on occasion, and so I can imagine the families mingling, and the sister or wife or whatever to Frank endearing herself upon them, and then them being like, yeah, we'll put up with Frank if we can have her here because she's so sweet. Like the whole time on the airplane, whenever Kate Catherine's character Kate is freaking out about leaving Kevin home, her, I'm assuming sister, is over there just like consoling her and being as sweet as can be. She seemed like she's probably one of the most, outside the mom, well, I would say even beyond Catherine O'Hara's mom, probably the most caring, thoughtful, and heartfelt character in the family. So she's probably the heart of the family, and she's the whole reason why they put up with Frank. I would be willing to bet.
How she put up with Frank? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, how she put up. I imagine they get home and she cracks that whip. She didn't. She probably didn't even have to crack the whip. She's probably just like he dotes over her, and will do anything for her. But everybody else is free game, and that's where he takes it out. That'd be we're gonna get a little psychology 101 on Frank.
Easily the worst character. Like I would take the Wet
Marv
Bandits over
yes,
over Frank.
The Wet Bandits. It's such a dumb
It's our
thing.
calling card.
Oh, it's such an insult to injury too, to be robbed and then your home is flooded. Oh my god!
I mean, the end of that movie when Kevin's running through there, like it's running down the stairs. It's in the basement. And I love that. So I love that Harry is the straight guy, and Marv is just the comedic relief or whatever. But
it's the Curly and Moe.
It is. It really is. Yep.
Or no, not Curly. What's the Larry
That's
Moe?
Yeah,
is what it is.
Yeah. We used to watch some. I remember watching Three Stooges with you. And,
Three Stooges. Yeah, that was a good time. I tried watching them again recently. It's not the same. Maybe I got to find the right episodes, but it's not the same.
Yeah. But I don't know. I like how he, Marv comes back and sits in the van, and Harry's like, "You did it again, didn't you?" What?
You did it again?
Why do you do that? Why do you do that? Like, even he...
You're sick.
Yeah,
you know
exactly. Like, Harry can be, like, he's a thief. Like, there's no getting around it. He's just an absolute thief.
Unapologetic.
But he's like, don't ruin the people's house. Like, we've already, we've already taken them for all their work.
Have some honor.
Exactly. And in the end, when they get caught, and he's, the police officer's like, oh, that's
we
that's
know
good
exactly
to know.
where you've been. And then Marv's trying to spell it out for him. We're the Wet Bandits. W-E-T. Shut up. Just get in. That's fantastic. I love it. And it's just like, it just captures them again. Like the final shot we see of Marv and Harry reiterates their relationship to us as they're being put in that squad car. Which I gotta say, if they want to do another Home Alone movie, that's what we need. We need a Marv and Harry origin story.
Yeah.
I think that would be worth seeing. I would love to see like a Marv and Harry origin story for sure. Yeah.
It would be interesting to see.
Yeah. Get some young actors in there. They just like, it could kind of do it like a Breaking Bad thing. Like, Harry's got dreams of, I don't know, being a restaurant chef or whatever the case may be. And Marv wants to, I don't know, open a water park, whatever. And then like they just end up slowly turning to a life of crime, and 20 years later or whatever, we got Home Alone. Yeah. Come on, Hollywood, get on that. That's the spin-off you need.
That's it, Disney. Like, I don't know what of all the traps, I guess, what is your favorite one?
Oh, I think for me it's it's as impractical as it seems. Well, I mean, they all are, but it kind of hits me on both sides. One, I find it to be the greatest, and that is the ice on the steps. Because he hits both steps, knowing that they're going to hit the steps, and especially the back door ones. Because as soon as he slips, he not only slips on the steps, then he goes down all the steps, and so it's just an insult to injury. It just keeps hitting him, and then he tries to stand up, and he can't stand up. He falls back down, and it keeps rolling. Like that one, it just keeps rolling. But at the same time, I'm like, there's no way that water froze solid in the hour that he had it laid down. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, it's not that cold in Chicago at this time of year.
But it's even, like, that aside, like, to me, what makes that scene so funny is the one with Harry in the front. It's silly. But at the same time, you're like, why? Like, you've slipped once, and he gets back and tries to walk up him again. Like, you just walk around the side where the hill's at there, and walk through the snow, and then you're back up. But...
I think it was all bushes on the side of the steps,
I guess it was, but I'd take my chance on the bushes than I would, with the ice.
Eventually Marv goes through the window, which, I mean, like, he has to make his way back up the frozen stairs when he leaves the at that point, I'm like, just finish going up the stairs. You already saw the nail, you know what to avoid, but no, he just turns around and goes right back for the ice and slips again.
It's when he's first going down those stairs. He slips, and you hear the it's just so funny. That's what, like, I think Daniel Stern does such a good job in this role, because this could easily be overdone to where it's just cheesy and you just are turned off by it. But he rides that line of just like, it's over the top. But it is so funny. Just right. Yeah. And I just love any scene that he's in, I think is just so funny. Or anytime he gets hurt, he's the iron it just is imprinted.
Why are you dressed like a chicken?
Or even that nail. Like, that's rough to watch. Like, seeing
that one's, it's just hard to watch that one. Yeah. Because his foot's all covered in, that thing's getting infected, and it's gonna be just like, and it's on his foot, so he can't walk. Oh yeah, and he's gonna be in prison, which is just gonna make it even worse. I mean, man, that's your insult on injury right there. Yeah. But speaking of it not being too over the top, there is one moment we need to talk about. That I feel like the movie could have done without. Not the entire moment. Whenever Marv goes to wash his face. From the paint cans, and he grabs the.
Now you're going into the second one.
Or is that in the second one? Yeah. That's the second one, isn't it? Yeah. I thought they did that on
We
this
can discuss it, though.
Yeah. You're right, yeah. No, that's fine. I think because, like, after we watched the movie, we watched one of those, listicle videos on YouTube, and it was like the top 10 traps from Home Alone movies, and that was one of the ones they listed. But yeah, the second one, they dial it up to that notch, and then that's where it starts to kind of like. Then we get the third one where they take that particular moment and just magnify it, and then they run it, and then they just multiply it X number of times in each subsequent sequel, and that's where the whole thing gets away. I think it all comes back to that one moment in the second movie. But yeah, the first one, yeah, it didn't. It was. I mean, yeah, it wasn't too over the top with the slapstickiness. There was some like, yeah, you gotta suspend disbelief a little bit there, like with the ice freezing so quickly, and
they're
them being so like not paying attention. Like whenever Harry goes and grabs the door handle. And gets that perfect M on his hand, he would have to grab it in a very particular, like, yeah, okay, but like we'll suspend disbelief, we'll roll with it because it's funny and it works, and that's part of the movie, and so on and so forth. But like, how did he not notice that it was glowing red? Is the thing that gets me with that. Or how did he not burn down the house between that and the blowtorch he had on the back door?
Ain't kidding. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like so Harry's hair is singed. But if he would have stood there that long, like his skin, he'd have such bad burns.
Nothing.
Yeah. But again, that's like you're saying, like this movie, you have to suspend disbelief because really, these men would be dead, like with all this stuff.
When the iron fell on his face, he would have been out.
Or like,
or when he fell down the stairs.
When Kevin shoots them with the BB guns in the beginning when they first try to come in. Like the Marv's forehead would be split open from like it probably wouldn't penetrate his skull, but he's not just going to have like a.
He's not walking off.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, I don't know. I do firmly believe like so. There's other good stuff in this movie that I do want to cover, but I believe that. What makes this movie and what makes it as memorable as it is that final act with all the traps and just all because I think if you don't have that, like it's another John Hughes movie, which is fine, but it's not a $476 million blockbuster
juggernaut of a Christmas movie. Yeah, and really like. Yeah, it is that from the moment after he talks to Santa and he heads back home, from then on it's going like we're off and we're not stopping till the credits roll. And I mean, if you ever walk in on this movie and it's anywhere near that moment, you're done for. You're out for the next 45 minutes to an hour, depending on what you're watching it on. And you're not getting that time back because you're going to be sitting there watching Home Alone and all that comes with this moment. I know this year, my kids, my daughter sat and watched it with me and my wife all the way through. My son dipped out until we got to that point, and then he was back in. And that's generally how he goes with the movie. He's out until after the first couple times we watched it, he was out until that part, and then he's back in, and he loves that part. But he doesn't like a lot of story development. He gets bored and he pretty easily and he moves on. But then he'll come back for that scene for sure. Like that gets everybody. That scene right there. That's it. That's like you said. You're in for it.
Home Alone. I think. But
that's right.
Yeah. So I think we need to talk about, as little as he was in it, we need to talk about John Candy. I mean,
absolutely
excellent in this movie. Like, there we go, right there, the Polka King. I was waiting for you to put it up there.
That's right. For those listening, I am enjoying a local brew, a 903 Breweries Polka King of the Midwest, the Gus Polanski. And the Kenosha Kickers. It's a spiced ale. What is it? Cinnamon and spiced ale. It's quite tasty, and it puts me in the holiday mood. And I thought for this movie, I'm going to bust out a little Gus. So here we are.
Polka, polka, polka.
Kenosha Poker King.
Yeah, we had a few hits back then, you know. We sold
about
600 albums. It was pretty good for us.
In 1972. I like how he's still riding on those 6 albums from 1972.
Yeah. You know, and you probably know this.
Insane.
I'm sure you know it. He only got paid like $400 for this movie because he was.
Oh yeah, he did one day's work.
Yep, he was a favor for John Hughes.
Flew him in. He did it. Yeah, and it was. Oh man, like without him, this is just like. It's that much. It's. You're not losing anything, but you're gaining so much by putting him in this little role.
Yeah,
and like I said, without it, it's fine. You don't notice it. And if you didn't know that was supposed to be in there and they completely cut around it, you would be no worse for wear in the movie. You might wonder how she got home so quick, but it's fine. But with John Candy in there, it adds so much more than it would lose if he wasn't in there. And I'm here for it. I mean, anytime you can drop John Candy in. I'm here for it. 100%.
Yeah, it makes the movie that much better. I think that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he brings something to every role that he does.
Such a warmth.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And just genuine, genuine comedy. Yeah. Like there's something about the guy that he can deliver, and like I don't know. It's it makes me sad every time, but
well, let's move on from the sadness.
We could use it more.
Yeah. John Candy was great in it. Something else I noticed when I was watching it. So when the McCallisters first land in France and they realize that Kevin's missing and they're on the phone and they're calling the police and different people. One thing that, because I watched this with my wife and with Harper, if you couldn't tell, when she was on just a little bit ago. But one thing that Mindy pointed out, she was like, of all the people they called that they know in Chicago, nobody's home. Like, nobody can answer their phone. But then the thing I noticed that was kind of bugged me was they finally get a police officer to come over to the house. And what a lazy police officer. He knocks on the door twice.
And walks away.
There's no one home. Like tell them to check on their kids again. I'm like, what is this?
Count their kids again. Well, yeah, I mean, like they answer the phone and she immediately shoots it over to the other department. And they're like, we got what was they called her, a wacko or
something like that. Yeah,
crazy person or something like that. Yeah, or a manic mom or I don't know, whatever. But they were immediately dismissed. They did not want to be there. It was Christmas Eve. They were checked out. God forbid something actually happened in that town because the police are not going to be there. Well, I mean, they showed up at the end, but man.
But not the guy that was doing the house call. Like, he's not one of the ones that showed up.
No. He went home. That was the end of his shift. He was done.
He didn't want to be there anymore.
He's sitting at home, feet are up. He's good.
Yeah. What's with that statue they have? Like,
the little carriage
everybody
boy
hits that thing.
Everybody keeps it. Yeah, it's just like a running
this
joke.
This pizza delivery guy though, I don't know where the heck this guy's from. I mean,
he came flying in.
Oh my gosh! It's like, is he coming out of Need for Speed or something? Like he is.
Well, I mean, on the side of the car it says 20 minutes or your pizza's free.
Yeah,
20 minutes. My wife worked in a pizzeria in high school, and she was like, it takes 7 or 8 minutes just to make the pizza.
Nuts. Yeah.
So you're saying that he's delivering it in 14 minutes, 15 minutes at best. Assuming that they've got the pizzas, going, cranking them out, and they're ready to roll. Which, this isn't a suburb of Chicago. You're not, I mean, unless you're right around it's not happening in 20 minutes. Or I have a feeling they're giving away a lot of free pizza at that restaurant. 20 minutes are free is insane. And it was an order of 10 large
Isn't that
pizzas.
crazy? Like, I mean, just to
Yes.
think that you're going to be able to get that in 20 minutes. That's absolutely nuts.
I know.
Absolutely nuts.
I seem to remember they had like a limit on that. It was like 20 minutes or it's free, or what is it, 30 minutes or it's free was like the big deal growing up. And that was only on like if you were ordering like one or two pies. I don't think that applied if you were ordering like for a party or a group or something like that over a certain size. There's no way. You could not. You couldn't deliver 10 pizzas in under 20 minutes. That's insane.
What was with it? I don't know who thought that was. I mean, this movie aside, like in reality, who thought that this is a good idea? 30 minutes or less. Like, I get.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I'd kill for 30 minutes or less right now.
Well, yeah.
It's like 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh, is
now.
it for you? See, for us here in small town Missouri, I just get on the Pizza Hut app and I order it, and usually it's 25 minutes. Like, it'll tell me it'll be ready in 25 minutes, and I just drive 3 blocks or whatever over to the Pizza Hut, and there it is.
I was gonna say ours is right up the street, and so I'll order it on the app, and then leave the house, and by the time I get there, it's about done, and I pick it up and I bring it home. But like some days we have like a house full of kids or something like that, or it's late or whatever, and we just want to order it and have it sent to the house. It takes so much longer. And the thing is because, well, first of all, our kids prefer Domino's, so we order Domino's. I do not like or care too much. It's fine. Domino's is fine. Pizza Hut's fine. Don't get me wrong. It's pizza. It fills the need, but it's McDonald's basically. I mean, it's fast food pizza. It's not. I prefer like a nice Napoli's Italian, New York style slice. Usually like brick oven would be great. They produce some good pizzas, but I'm getting off topic. So yeah, like the pizza place is right up the street. We always order Domino's because so we always order Domino's because that's what the kids like. And the thing is Domino's, at least in our area, has a deal with DoorDash, and so all the deliveries go through DoorDash. And so like when you order it through Domino's, they're not delivering it, even though you gotta kind of search for it to find where it says it's being delivered by DoorDash. They only deliver at DoorDash, and if you do cash pickup, nobody on DoorDash will accept the delivery.
Shoot,
and so your pizza just sits there. Like I ordered when we first moved in, I ordered cash delivery because I had cash, and I don't really ever have cash. So whenever I do have cash, I'll spend it to get rid of it because I don't like carrying around a bunch of cash because I'll lose it or whatever. And I'll usually keep like $10 on me just for whatever may come up, because sometimes something will come up where you need like $1 or $2. But generally I don't carry large amounts of cash. And so like usually Christmas and stuff like that, I'll get cash. The kids will get cash, and then it'll end up in my wallet, and we'll just transfer over and deposit into their accounts from ours, and so on and so forth. So anyways, I did cash delivery, and we sat there for a good hour waiting for this pizza. And at this point it was like, we ordered late. It was like 9:00 whenever we placed the order, because my daughter had friends staying the night, and they ate super early at like 5. And so 9:00 rolls around, they're all like, oh, we're getting kind of hungry. And I was like, well, I'll order a pizza and have it delivered, and we'll get some bread bites, and y'all can snack on that. And they're like, okay, cool. So I ordered a pizza. Hour rolls by, hour and a half. It's like 10:30. And I'm like, where is this damn pizza? And I give him a call, and the guy's like, oh yeah, I see here you selected cash option. Yeah, everything's delivered through DoorDash, and if you select cash, they won't accept it because they have to put the cash up front, and then if you stiff them, then they get stuck with it. And I'm like, oh, well, that seems like a flaw in your system, not mine. Take cash option away. But so you live and learn. Now I don't order cash option.
Would have killed for that 20 minutes or less, I guess.
I know, right? Would have killed for that information even a half hour before that. But anyway, so I drove up there and I picked it up and brought it back some decently warm old pizza. But they're keeping that warmer, so it wasn't too bad. But I don't know.
Yeah,
what were we talking about?
Home Alone here. Yeah, was Kevin in the scene when they are eating? Everybody, the pizzas are coming. Since we're still on the topic of the pizzas. Pizzas are there.
Yeah.
Everybody's just gorging on food. Was Kevin the jerk? No. Absolutely not.
You had Finiscence. No. I mean, he was 10. What was he, 9? 10, 9 in this movie? 8? 8. Yeah, so he's an 8-year-old kid. He can be a little, I want to say whiny, but, 8-year-old kids are a little needy, I'll say. And, I don't think he was being, particularly out of line. He just wasn't nobody was giving him any attention. Everybody was demanding, not asking, demanding things of him. And then expecting him to do things that either he clearly never done himself before or, wasn't prepared to do in some way, whatever the case may be. And so, yeah, he was a little upset. And then his cheese pizza was eaten by his brothers or whatever. And how many kids did they have? They had a ton of kids.
So a couple of the kids were Peter's brothers because they moved to France in the middle of the school year. So 2 or 3 of the kids stayed with them. I didn't catch that until I watched it again this time. Because it's when he was talking with Harry in the beginning. They stayed with him to finish out, I guess, the school year or something. And then, so at the end, when the family comes back, there is Buzz, there's Kevin, there is not the oldest girl, but
2 of the girls.
I think it was just one girl. And then the redhead guy that was on The Adventures of Pete and Pete on Nickelodeon.
Oh yeah. Jeff.
Yeah. I think that was it of their actual kids. I think the rest were either his brothers or they were Frank and Frank's wife's. So I know what's his name that wets the bed. He was Frank's.
Fuller
was Frank's.
Yeah. Oh, I would buy that he was Frank's kid.
Yeah.
The problem child was Frank's kid, 100%.
Which is actually Macaulay Culkin's brother in real life. I can't remember which Macaulay.
Roy Culkin, he's on, what's that show now? Not Billionaires.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Ascension? No, that's not it.
No.
Succession.
Yes.
Succession.
Yes. He is in that. Yep.
Yeah. He was on Scott Pilgrim vs. World, too.
Yes, he was. Yep.
Yeah. I can't really think of him. I know I've seen him in other things, here and there. He's popped up and you're like, oh yeah, that's Kevin's brother or whatever, Macaulay Culkin's brother. And I think he had didn't they have another sibling? There was another one in there. There was a couple of them, I thought. Not as successful, but he found success later with acting and everything. I imagine he probably, after I'm not gonna pretend like I know, but it definitely seems like Macaulay Culkin suffered the trappings of Hollywood for your child actors. Not as bad as a lot of them. He seems to have weathered it fairly well, especially in older life. But I imagine his brother saw that being a couple years younger and was like, ooh, maybe I'll back off on that. Or maybe his parents were wise enough to be like, oh no, we're gonna pull you back from this and let you focus on school and everything and get your education and figure out what you want to do with your life. And if this is what you want to do, then it'll still be here. You can come back to it, type of thing. That would be my educated guess, because he seems like, I haven't seen a single tabloid or headline reading anything about him getting into any kind of trouble.
I mean,
so I imagine he took a back seat for a while.
Macaulay Culkin's has got himself together now, but he went through he went through the ringer there for a long time.
He was just partying a lot. I mean, I don't think he was necessarily getting in. I don't remember seeing that he got into a whole lot of trouble, law. I don't remember mugshots and arrests and stuff like that. It seemed more like he was just kind of partying and kind of falling into that trap of Hollywood and maybe hanging out with not the right crowd, perhaps. I don't, like I said, I don't even follow it. I'm not sure. But he definitely, there was an era of, he's getting into some stuff, but he never seemed to get like into any real deep trouble. And financially, it seems like he didn't blow everything. So he's able to like continue, going. I imagine he gets quite the residual check every year about this time.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah.
But yeah, he seems to be doing all right now.
So your favorite scene?
Okay, we're gonna omit the last scene because I feel like that's probably everybody's favorite scene is the traps in the house and all that fun stuff. So outside of that scene, I think whenever, and usually this kind of thing bothers me, but whenever he goes to the grocery store and he does the grocery shopping and he's kind of being just like a little precocious 8-year-old kid and kind of being a little charming and, you know, chatting up the cashier and everything, and gives her that whole line of, you know, like, I wouldn't be here alone or whatever. I like that. That played really well, and I still find it to be funny and entertaining, and it wasn't over the top. Like a lot of times you see that with a kid actor and they just ham it up a little too much, and you're like, okay, you know you're being cute, and it's kind of getting annoying now. But I think he took it right to the line and did it just right. Like he found that balancing act, and maybe that's just like the charm of Macaulay Culkin. I don't know, but it worked, and I enjoyed that scene. That was probably one of my favorite scenes. How about you?
So I'm going to cheat a little bit because it's kind of two, but they're almost like one. So it is when he goes into the church and he meets his neighbor that he's been completely terrified of because, you know, he was told he was the...
Marley.
Told he was the... What was it that Buzz called him? The... I don't know,
the shovel
killer
or something like that? Snow
Yeah,
shovel killer or something like that? Yeah.
Keeps his victims inside the salt so it mummifies them. And
salt. That was a big barrel of salt.
When he goes...
Where did he get that filled at?
Oh, man. I don't know. I can't imagine dragging that thing around.
I know.
But it's when he says... I mean, this isn't my favorite scene, but when Buzz says that, and then you hear Kevin just whisper, "Mummies." It's so funny. Like it's just completely what an 8-year-old would say.
Great.
But yeah, it's when he meets him, and then he they get that connection where he realizes like he's just a guy. Like he's not, he's just some lonely guy basically. That's what's he doing? He's going around and salting the sidewalks around the neighborhood to make sure people don't slip. Like what a bad guy that is, and it's a combination of that, and then that pours into the very last scene where he's talked to him and told him, you need to, why don't you try to call your son again? And then he looks out the window and he sees he's reuniting with his son and his family. And, it's kind of, I guess, not maybe the coolest scene, but it's
within the spirit of the movie.
It is.
100%.
It is
like
completely.
That's what makes it a holiday
that's
movie.
Exactly it. Yep. It makes it a Christmas holiday movie because he's
redemption.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah, you can't have a holiday movie without redemption.
But one of my favorite lines,
Absolutely.
I will say, in the movie is when Kevin takes that rope out to the treehouse, and then Marv and Harry are trying to they're getting ready to go out, and Marv's like, maybe he's going to call the cops, and Harry's like, from a treehouse,
from a treehouse. It was fantastic. Like, you idiot! You don't have a phone out there.
Yeah.
Although now we know he would have.
Oh, he would now. Yeah, absolutely would.
Yes, every 8-year-old has a phone.
But yeah.
Now,
was it just me, or
good.
could you smell that basement when he walks down in there?
No.
Oh, I could just smell that. Like, I almost just smell the, you go into an old
Musk.
basement. Yeah, it's just that musty, that smell. And I could just, when he stepped down that basement for the first time, like, I could smell this basement. Like, it's damp, and it's just dank. Yeah.
Musty, moldy, a little mildewy. Yeah. I can see that. No, it
Didn't hit you the same way.
didn't get to me. No. But the thing I couldn't get over is when they're on the plane, the size of those airline seats. Every time I fly now, I feel like a mummy, and I can't stand it. But looking at like all these movies from back in the 80s, and whenever they're sitting, I mean, it's I want to go back. I want to. It doesn't make sense, but I want to go back in time and fly on a plane back whenever the seats were comfortable. As a guy that's just over 6 feet tall, seats are not comfortable.
No,
And
airline seats are not comfortable.
they're just not that comfortable. They're not that comfortable, and they just look like couches. Back then. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I can't.
Here's 8 feet of room every direction from you. Like, just
yes.
Here's a lazy boy
I think I was driving
while you're flying.
Yes. I'm sure I was driving my family nuts because every time they cut back to the plane, I was just like, those seats, I can't get over the size of those seats. Yeah, we watched Mad Men, and every time they got on a plane or something like that, I was like, oh my God, look at the size of those seats. That's insane. I can't believe I can't get over it.
I do the same thing when I watch The West Wing. Of course, they're on Air Force One, but it's just like they've got there's couches on the plane, and you're just like, what is this?
Yeah, those are. It's kind of the exception to the rule. The flying with Air Force One, that would be that'd be a dream.
Luxury.
I don't know. Does it get much cushier than like Air Force One or like a private jet?
I don't know. If you've flown on either one, let us know.
Absolutely. If you float on Air Force One and you comment below, it'd be impressive.
I'm used to flying economy. It's just you have about a half an inch of room on either side of you, maybe.
Yes. That you had to share with the person next to you.
Exactly. Yeah. But I enjoyed coming back to this movie. I always like watching it. I watch it every year, sometimes twice a year, around this time.
Yeah.
And, it's always good. It always makes me laugh. It always just is very, very nostalgic movie, and it's just because it, growing up, it was such a big thing. Everybody knew the smack the hands on the face and
Yes, that was the thing.
Yeah, absolutely was.
It was a meme before it was a meme. It was a meme before there were memes. It was absolutely. It was a thing. Yeah. The movie to sidetrack a little bit that he's watching, the Angels with filthy names or whatever. That's not a real movie. Like, they shot that just for the Home Alone, which I thought was just like that's one of those touches that John Hughes brings to this movie that just gives it so much more depth, because they could have just dug out some old movie or something like that, but no, like they shot something specific for this to make it work. Yeah. And okay, what kind of sound system does this family have that every time he watches this movie with these big old speakers, people believe that it's real gunfire, but the cops don't get called on the house whenever he does
Mindy
it.
and I both, the same time we watched it this time, we're like, with the pizza, maybe not with Marvin Harry, but with the pizza delivery guy, we'd be like, that guy is calling the cops. Like, he's getting shot at. He is calling the cops. I think it's so funny. Like, Harry hears it, or Marv hears it, the first time he walks over there, and he jumps back in the vehicle. He's like, somebody just got blown away. What do you mean? I don't know.
I was like, what?
Snakes. I don't know no snakes. Snakes.
Snakes. Yeah, that was great. That was a. I want to see that whole movie. Like I don't care for old movies very much, but that one I would watch if I could get like my hands on whatever they fully fill it, because there's probably like a little bit more to it. I can't imagine it's just that one short little scene. I imagine maybe a couple more minutes,
maybe like a
to fill
10
it out,
or 15-minute little. Yeah.
Because doesn't he watch like more of it in the second film, or does he watch like the sequel or something like that?
I don't know. I don't remember. We'll have next year around Christmas. We'll do Home Alone 2, and we will.
All right. Well, spoilers.
Sorry. We will. We'll have to check it out, and because I can't remember.
Yeah.
That one's my wife's favorite. Is 2.
Oh yeah.
So I'm
2
like,
was
as
fun.
long
2
as it's
was
not
good.
3.
2 had one of the best traps.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But we can come back to that. So do you think Kevin ever went back and paid for the toothbrush that he stole? Because he seems like an honest kid.
I think
like
he did.
he would want to go
I think
back.
he did. Yeah.
All right. I think because it didn't show. It doesn't say like that. That's kind of one of those things that kind of goes left by the wayside. But I imagine he went back and he did that. And then like at the end of the movie, he had clearly like cleaned up everything. I can't imagine. He had to have taken the nail off the steps.
Oh yeah.
At the very least. But like.
How's he getting that tar off?
So like, how's he getting the tar off? There's a lot of it where I'm like, how did he get all that cleaned up? But at the same time, the last line is his brother Buzz screaming out his name because of his room. He's like, "What did you do to my room?" Because his room is still trash. So like, he didn't bother cleaning up Buzz's room. But I don't know if that speaks more of his relationship with Buzz and his parents or what. But he didn't. He didn't bother cleaning up Buzz's room.
So the tarantula's probably still walking around the house somewhere.
God, that tarantula. Oh my God. I like how it just like every once in a while it would kind of appear in the background and then it would just like sneak back off. It was like foreshadowing a bit there. But yeah, that was probably, that might have been one of the best little bits in that whole scene. Was that bit with the tarantula. He got lucky that tarantula was there. Although, why didn't he just whip around that little BB gun and give him a little poke in the face? Like, I feel like he could have gotten away that way too, but because he had it slung over his shoulder, like that would have been really easy. But
and then he drops it.
Tarantula works
to get on the rope to swing out there to the treehouse. I'm like,
the BB gun.
It's strapped on you. Just take it with you.
Yeah.
Get up there in the treehouse and just start pumping lead into these guys as they're trying to come out. You know.
Nope, just had to cut that line.
Yeah.
What do you think? Have you heard the conspiracy theory that the dad was mobbed up, and that's how they could afford everything?
No.
And why like nothing came of this or whatever because like the dad was connected with the mom.
I've not heard this. Huh?
Yeah, there's like a theory. Yeah, I think it's one of those like Reddit theories. I probably read somewhere one time, but yeah, like apparently one of the prevailing theories is that the dad is mobbed up.
Interesting.
And, he had things taken care of on the backside, and that's how they could afford everything that they were affording or whatever. But then again, like you look at the scene, there was a subtlety. The scene where they're in Paris, which, by the way, that apartment that the brother has in Paris overlooking the Eiffel Tower, like perfectly out his window, that had to be one of the most expensive apartments in all of Paris, I imagine. So they're doing all right. But at the same time, like Frank's there and he's just running, steamrolling over this guy, like taking like the platter and like handing out food. And they're like, "No, Frank, save that for later." And he's like, "Man, I'm gonna do what I want." And like, he's clearly like steamrolling the guy because the guy's just like kind of sad sacking in the back. He's just like, "Yeah, okay, if you want to take it, that's fine. You can take. I'll burn this place down." But like he's steamrolling him. Frank, like letting Frank run it. So I don't know what to think of the brother because we don't really ever see anything else of him. But I can't imagine somebody that's in a position that they can afford that place is letting somebody like Frank run all over them. You know?
Yeah.
But clearly he is. So I don't know. That was just another one of those things that kind of like felt a little weird.
Or maybe that just shows like how like much of just a complete scumbag Frank is, that he can walk over anybody.
Oh, maybe they are mobbed up, and Frank is the mob boss's son, and that's how he's getting away with all of it.
There we go.
Yeah, and that's how they're all connected, and they're all flying out. And everything. That's it.
There we
That's
go.
it. I think I cracked the code right there. There
That's
it is.
what Frank's dealt with. Yes.
So the famous scene, the meme scene that this movie is known for is, hands to the face, aftershave thing. He doesn't shave. And maybe he does. Maybe he shaves a little bit, but he's got nothing to shave. So he's just running the blade over his face. He's clearly got no nicks or anything like that. But then he pats on the aftershave. Would aftershave burn if you hadn't shaved? If you didn't have any open nicks or cuts or anything? I can't imagine it would burn.
I think so. Unless he was just like, did he have shaving cream on his face? I don't remember.
No.
If he was just dry shaving,
I don't think he actually shaved.
Then maybe like, maybe he got by without cutting himself. But like, you're dry shaving, that's going to take something off of your skin.
But I don't think he shaved, because like he doesn't show him shaving or anything like that. I think he just applied it because like he had seen his dad doing it. Like he skipped the shaving part because obviously he doesn't shave. And then he just pats on the aftershave and does the little thing. But yeah, whatever. It was brute.
It was brute. I noticed that. I was like, Dad.
Yeah.
Our father was a brute
man.
Fan. Yes, he was a brute man. Yeah.
He has enough brute in that bathroom closet for all of us. For the rest of our lives.
I'll never forget that smell.
No. No, yeah. I remember one year getting that for Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, sadly that one didn't stick with me. I don't use aftershave. Do you use aftershave?
Do I use?
Well, you don't really.
Do I shave?
I shave down here.
Okay.
I shave this part.
I just let
it
all go. So. I trim it every other week and just let it go. Yeah.
And the trimmers. I have my trimmers, and I was trimming up the other day in the shower, and I realized that the trimmer I had, like, how old is your trimmer?
Probably 4 or 5 years old.
I realized the one that I have, I bought before Force Awakens came out. And I know this because it was part of a series that they did for the character Poe Dameron. And like they had one that was the one I got that didn't have the colors on it, and another one that was exactly the same, but it had Poe Dameron's like orange color to it. And I was like, I don't want one that's got orange on it. But so it came out. I bought it right around the time that Force Awakens came out, which is 10 years ago now, something like that. I keep it in the shower because it's waterproof or resistant, or it's shower safe or whatever. And then I trim up in the shower because then it has somewhere to go. Otherwise, if you trim a dry beard in front of the mirror, it just goes everywhere. Yeah. But yeah, so like I'm impressed with this little shower trimmer that I have, that I've been trimming my beard with for the better part of I think over 10 years. Whenever Force Awakens came out, I think that was over 10 years ago. And so I just was like, I was thinking about it, I was like, I wouldn't have expected this to last as long as it has, but it's still here. It's still doing its job, so I guess I can't complain too much.
I mean, I've had mine for quite a while. I think it's been about 5 years. I don't know. I used to shave a lot, and then I left. Right, I moved out of my mom's house after high school, and I was poor, so I just it was cheaper to buy a $20 trimmer than it was to keep buying razor blades and shaving cream, and that's right. Just been how it's been for.
And then it became cool and trendy, and it was the thing to do. So ahead of the curve.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, any final thoughts on Home Alone?
Yeah, Gus's kid is a serial killer today. 100%.
Gus's.
If you heard him describe his child, that kid
Leave him
grew up
at
to become a
the
serial
funeral
killer.
home. We left him there all day, the poor little tyke.
Yeah. He was fine though. A couple months, he was talking again. It was okay. That kid is 100% a serial killer now.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good place to end it, I think. So.
All right. Well, do we have any? Did we get any comments this week?
We did not. We didn't. What's up, people? We didn't get any comments. Leave us some comments. We would love to read them.
It's the holiday season. Things are get busy, but you get a chance. Grandma's done talking, or y'all have watched the podcast, and if somebody's got something interesting to say, drop it in the comments below. Let us know. We'll be happy to read it out on the air and discuss it a little bit. But since we don't have any, I guess I am going to get us into the next episode, which we've been doing stickers, handing out stickers for people that leave reviews and comments on the YouTube channel. All you gotta do is leave a review, written review. Apple Podcast is the only one that does it, and we will accept comments on YouTube videos now, just because Spotify stopped doing written reviews in the middle of this. So if you want to get your hands on a sticker, leave us a comment on YouTube or a review on Apple Podcast written, and something nice, or it doesn't have to be nice, just your opinion, whatever that happens to be, but just make it decent amount. Give us a good sentence. And then screen capture that and email it to thispodcasttakestokens@gmail.com. And with your home mailing address, we will send you out a sticker from the podcast for each of those reviews or comments that you leave for different episodes. And we'd love to hear from you. We'll read it out on the air. And if you could do that, that'd be great. You got till the end of the year, December 31st, 2024. We will be putting a cap on this little promotion that we're running, and putting those stickers back in the Disney vault, if you will. But that's all I got. I do have an icebreaker question for you for next week. We're not going to tell you what the movie is for next week, but I will give you an icebreaker question that we will answer at the beginning of the next episode, and maybe that'll give you a clue as far as what we're going to be doing. So my icebreaker question for you for the next episode is, what defines a Christmas movie to you? All right, so think about that. Leave your comments, email us, whatever. Let us know what you think defines a Christmas movie, and we'll be back in the next episode to discuss that and our topic of the day that kind of has to do with that a little bit. So until next week, be kind, rewind, and don't forget those tokens.
We'll see you then. This Podcast Takes Tokens is a Clay Street production.